Hey guys, it's me Saren back with another video. So this video has been highly requested on Stephon Clark. Stephon Clark was the 22-year-old that was shot and killed by Sacramento police in California. He was shot at over 20 times by police in his backyard when they mistook his cell phone for a gun, even though police apprehend white fucking killers with real guns in bulletproof vests with artilleries and armor every day without them getting shot the fuck up. But Stephon Clark was shot and killed after his cell phone was allegedly mistaken for a gun, and I believe that the autopsy results revealed that at least 8 of those shots, he was shot in the back. So this has turned into like a big thing. The Sacramento Kings, I believe, is the name of the basketball team. Please don't kill me. I'm not that familiar with Sacramento if that's not it. Their last game, they wore like shirts that had his name on it, and it's become like like another big kind of hallmark case in terms of police brutality. But the reason why people have been requesting that I talk about this is because of some tweets that Stephon Clark put out that were anti-black women tweets. They were saying how he doesn't like black women, and how the only thing black he wants is like a Xbox or like a PlayStation, or that used to be like a old saying, something like I remember people used to like say that. The majority of those tweets were from 2015. I saw one tweet that was allegedly from 2017. I don't know if that tweet was real or not, because people be with the Photoshop, but I know for a fact that there were like a series of tweets that were definitely real from 2015. It's also been like a big part of this whole Stephon Clark story that he was like a family man. He had like 2 kids. There's been like a picture going around of like him with his like wife, baby mama. I don't know if they were really married, whatever. And their 2 children, and I believe she's I think she's Asian. I think she's Asian. At first, people were saying she was like a non-black Latinx, but I think she's actually Asian. I think it was like clarified that she's actually like Asian. But if I have that wrong, please correct me. There's not like a lot of official information on like this aspect of the story. This is kind of like a conversation that's only kind of happening like on social media and kind of like under the radar. So, but like if you guys like know for sure, like please let me know. But like the moral of the story is that like his baby mama is like not black, period. So a lot of people were wondering, like it kind of became this conversation of like should we be marching for him? Like he's anti-black, like he's suffering from internalized anti-blackness. He hates black women, and a lot of black women have said like, well, I'm not gonna march for him. Like I'm not gonna protest for him. Like he hated me basically. Like he hated black women. So like I'm not like, okay, fine, whatever. So this reminds me of a few years ago when I did a video on Chris Brown, which of course links will be in the description box, or if you click on the eye in the right-hand corner. White stalker bitch like broke into Chris Brown's house and tried to like rob him, and like called the police on him, basically utilized the system against him, and he got arrested. Like they came to his house and like he got arrested, and he was like, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like she broke into my house. But she was like, poor white girl, like cried them white girl tears. And I remember like I did that video because there were a lot of people that were kind of like rejoicing about him getting arrested and thinking it was really funny. And I was like, this isn't funny. Like this is a prime example of like a white woman like using a racist white supremacist system against Chris Brown. And I was like, kind of regardless of our personal feelings about Chris Brown being a scumbag woman abuser, which he is, I was like, that doesn't make it okay for this white woman to be using the system against him in this way. And that was when I first referenced Angela Davis's essay, which I've talked about extensively since then, including in my International Women's Day video, which please watch if you haven't seen it, where Angela Davis has an essay. She gave a speech that has since been transcribed into an essay called The Color of Violence, that was about, how do we discuss gender frustration, which is kind of what even the Stephon Clark situation boils down to. How do we discuss gender frustration? How do we discuss gendered violence enacted by Black men against Black women? How do we discuss, you know, this colorism and these anti-Black sentiments without resorting to utilizing the language of our colonizers against Black men, without pathologizing them, without criminalizing them, without colluding with the system of racism, white supremacy, and mass incarceration, like colluding with that system against Black men? How do we address this type of violence and these types of issues without colluding with the racist white supremacist system in our language and our thought processes and the things that we say? And I kind of feel like saying you don't care that a white woman is using this system against Chris Brown, or even saying that you don't care that Stephon Clark was shot to death in his backyard, is colluding with that system. That's just my opinion. I know that's going to make a lot of you angry, but that's my opinion. And that Angela Davis speech and essay came out in 2000. So here we are 18 years later, still having, you know, this, older than some of y'all that are probably watching this video right now. And we're still having this conversation. Like when I first saw the picture that was going around, when people were like, and he was a family man, I saw his baby mama and I was like, like I kind of had a little, like I had my little spidey, y'all know I got my spidey senses, my little spidey senses did start tingling. And he is from California, and you know what they say about niggas from California being real mixy with it. But at the same time, when these like old tweets came out, I was like, okay, that's not really that surprising. But at the same time, the main set of tweets that have been going around are 3 years old. They are from 2015. And I do feel like people have the right to grow and change their minds, and he's dead now, so we can't exactly ask him, can we? Even if the tweet from last year is real, which we don't really know. I don't know. You guys can let me know. He's dead, so we can't ask him. And the tweets from 3 years ago that are circulating, like 3 years ago, he would have been 19. Maybe he was a 19-year-old asshole. I really don't know. I see why his statements made people, specifically Black women, angry. Completely. 100%. I do feel like a lot of niggas are in denial. A lot of Black men are really, they really be in denial about the reality of their situation here in this country as Black men and who exactly has their back. You put a foreign hoe on a pedestal, but then it's still expected, when the shit goes down, them foreign hoes don't have your back. Black women gonna have your back. And it's expected that Black women are gonna have your back. And it's expected that Black women are gonna do all this work and all this labor when niggas get their asses beat and murdered, right? Not foreign hoes, Black women. So there is something fucked up about that. There is something distasteful and unsavory about that. You really can't blame some Black women, in my opinion, for being in their feelings about this, because there is a question of, let's go back to Stephon Clark. Since we don't know, we can't ask him. It is a question of, if a Black woman was murdered, if those were his beliefs, would he have been like, oh, fuck that Black bitch, right? We don't know. So some Black women do feel like that's a double standard. The expectation that Black women have to show up and show out for Black men, but Black men don't have to show up and show out for us, and that some Black men will actively express their disdain for us. There is something really hurtful, definitely, about that. So I understand the anger and the frustration, a lot of women feel like, oh, justice for Stephon, bitch, get your Asian or Latinx or whatever the fuck your baby mama is, get your comrades together, get your foreign comrades together and go march then. That's how a lot of women feel, again, and that's understandable. But for me personally, I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way. I personally feel like if I'm fighting for Black lives, then I'm fighting for Black lives. When it comes to the fight against racism, white supremacy, if I'm fighting for Black lives, then I'm fighting for Black lives, period. Even the shitty ones. Except for maybe R. Kelly. R. Kelly is probably the exception for me personally. But I just feel like if I'm fighting for Black lives, then I'm fighting for Black lives. Because I also feel like that's so subjective. It's so subjective. I don't like to quantify who, we protest for, because in my opinion, that's a slippery slope. So like today we don't protest for Stephon Clark because of like his statements. Tomorrow we don't protest for somebody, you know, because they're gay. And the day after that we don't protest for Sandra Bland because she talked back. And after that we don't protest for somebody because they didn't have a college degree. Like, to me, it's a slippery slope because it's too subjective. It's too subjective in a lot of ways. Like, if we are for Black lives, we have to be for Black lives. Like, and Stephon Clark didn't break any laws. Again, like, R. Kelly is like a fucking pedophile. Like, he's a child molester. Like, he's he's breaking laws. He's ruining people's lives. Like, if you don't want to march for R. Kelly, if R. Kelly gets killed by the state, I'm not, like, you know, but like, aside from that, like, it's a slippery slope. It's a slippery slope. Carl gets on my fucking nerves. He says all kind of shit that I don't fucking like. But like, if something, now God forbid, like, knock on wood, like, but if something happened, like, would I be out there? I wouldn't be like, fuck that nigga Carl. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we are for Black lives, we've got to be for Black lives. And like Angela Davis said, we have to figure out how to address gendered violence, how to address gender frustration, how to address what's going on between Black men and Black women specifically without colluding with the state. And I kind of feel like saying you don't give a fuck about Stephon Clark being shot and killed by the state is colluding with the state, in my opinion. You're colluding with the state at that point. And I mean, I even find it weird that this man was killed and people started like digging through tweets and they got back 3 years. They got back to 2015. Like, maybe, and like, especially with the whole like me going viral thing, maybe like I have a different perspective on this now because I've seen firsthand the way that like rumors, like people dug through my old tweets and they found a tweet from like 2 or 3 years ago that was a part of a larger thread where we were talking about artists that die, like the concept of the artist that has died and their art became elevated. Like Pablo Picasso, who was like fucking destitute. All these artists that were like destitute while they were alive, that their talent was not recognized while they were alive, that, you know, they was like living off motherfucking cat food and shit while they were alive. This is true of like visual artists, writers, poets, all kinds of like great artists, people that we now consider great. Even like Basquiat is like way huger now than he was like when he was still alive. You know, artists that were, again, living in squalor, were not recognized, and then they died, and then their work was kind of subsequently rediscovered, right? So we were talking about different artists. One artist that I use as an example of that was Aaliyah, right? So this is part of a larger conversation, right, on art and artists that die and what happens to art and the careers of certain people after they die. And I said that like Aaliyah was one of those artists that like dying was the best thing that ever happened to her career. Now, I'm old enough that I remember when Aaliyah was alive. I remember when she died. I was taking a shower at my cousin's house. My cousin burst in the bathroom in tears. Like, oh my God, Aaliyah died, like her plane crashed, you know, and like, and now, and that was a big deal because she was like young, she was like still like a rising star. She has just started transitioning into movies. It was a big deal. So people that maybe vaguely knew who Aaliyah was, but they had maybe never heard her music, now they've heard of her. Now they're gonna go listen. Now, you know, now her and her impact got bigger and bigger and bigger over time. She's had a huge impact on R&B, on pop, on the look, the hair, the makeup, the clothes, the aesthetic, the style. We really have no way of knowing if that trajectory would have continued had she not died. And I use her as an example of an artist that, like, you know, became way bigger after death. After I went viral, people went digging through my old tweets and they picked just that one tweet where I said dying was the best thing that ever happened to Aaliyah's career. And they spun that into that I wished death on Aaliyah, that I said Aaliyah didn't have talent, all this shit that I never said. Now, luckily, I'm still alive, so I can defend myself. I can say this was part of a larger conversation that was this and this. I can, you know, like, if I was dead, people could say whatever they want. They could spin whatever narrative about me that they want. That's a real thing, you know? That's a real thing. This man was killed by the state and people started digging through his tweets to find dirt on him. things happen, you go viral, things happen, and people start trying to dig up dirt on you. I've said questionable things in videos. I've been on YouTube about to be 4 years. I've said questionable things in old videos that I refuse to take down because I'm not fucking perfect. I'm not your unproblematic fave. Y'all, any of y'all have been with me for a long time. You guys know I used to say this all the time. Like, I'm not your unproblematic fave. Like, I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm on a journey of learning and unlearning just like everybody else. Nobody is perfect. We are all on a journey of learning and unlearning. And luckily, I'm still alive. I'm still growing. I'm still learning. I'm still unlearning. And if anybody has a question about my growth, about questionable things I may have said in the past or anything like that, I can explain it. I can grow. I could change my mind. Stephon Clark is dead. A dead person can't defend themselves. And I don't know. I think that's kind of fucked up. But again, I can understand why people are mad. And as I always say, like, I can't tell anybody what to do. So anybody that decides they want to like sit this one out because they feel uncomfortable with what they feel what they feel his beliefs were, that's on them. That's their personal decision. But again, for me personally, I just feel like, yet again, as Angela Davis talks about, we have to learn how to start talking about gendered violence and gender frustration and all this stuff without colluding with the state and adopting white supremacist language and rhetoric and figuring out if we're going to be for Black lives. Nigga, are we for Black lives? So that's how I feel about that. And I know this video is probably going to make a lot of people angry because every time, like, just like when I made my Chris Brown video, people get really upset. But I just don't think it's like so black and white and so binary. And again, I feel when I made my Chris Brown video, I had not yet gone viral. Sitting here now, having gone viral and having seen firsthand people dig through my shit to try to like spin shit about me, saying shit completely out of context, saying shit that I never even said, you know, it's like, and again, I could defend myself because I'm still sitting here breathing. Stephon Clark cannot. I don't know. But if like I said, me personally, I feel like if I'm for Black lives, then I'm for Black lives. I'm fighting against the system of racism, white supremacy to liberate Black bodies, even the ones I don't like, except maybe R. Kelly. He could go. But yeah, so that's my video on this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time. Peace.